Welcome to this course titled Edtech Career Pathways for Educators. By the end of this course, you will learn 26 distinct Edtech career pathways tailored for teachers. You're going to learn the definition and scope of each of those roles. You're going to explore the core responsibilities associated with each career. You're also going to learn to identify how your existing teaching skills transfer to EdTech roles. Gain clarity on which career pathways aligns with your strengths, passions, and long-term goal. So I encourage you to stick to this course and pay attention till the end of this course. Discovering the different career pathways for teachers or educators in the EdTech space is not about leaving the teaching behind, but about expanding your influence in the education ecosystem. The skills you've honed in the classroom through lesson planning, communication, creativity, assessment, and relationship building are highly valuable in EdTech industry. With the right direction, you can transition into roles that allow you to impact education at scale, innovate learning solutions, and even shape global education trends. Like we always say, teachers-led innovations are very much highly scalable. So stick to this course and enjoy the rest of it. Over time, we have seen lots of educators, teachers, and teaching professionals who want to evolve in their teaching career, expand their teaching skill without leaving the education space. But over the years, they tend to experience certain struggle. Some of them end up as trainers, as school owners, and simply elevate to the lecturing role. However, with technology, you can scale your teaching career, expand and explore other education roles simply by leveraging technology, and which is EdTech, education technology. The digital technology space or the EdTech space avails teachers and teaching professionals the opportunity to explore different positions, just like we find in the physical workspace or in the physical classroom. In the physical schools, you have the supervisor, heads of department, head of science, you have the head teacher, you have the school administrator, you have the principal, you have the vice principal, you have the vice principal academics, you have the vice principal administration, you have a whole lot of rules. And this also goes to the edtech space, where teachers or school system, the online school as it pertains to edtech, also have these rules. Okay, different rules. The only difference is that is the naming is different. Okay, so these roles are what we refer to as the career paths. However, teachers tend to take up multiple tasks or multiple roles as teachers in the classroom, which gives them the opportunity to take up certain responsibility or develop skills in certain areas, such as lesson planning, project management, where you plan activities for your learners, and a whole lot of them. Okay, so this also takes place in the edtech sector, and we want to explore 26 career paths as it pertains to edtech, particularly for teachers. So if you're a teacher looking for ways to explore, expand using technology or by leveraging technology, this is for you. The first edtech role we are going to look at is the edtech product manager. And the edtech product manager oversees the vision, strategy, and development of educational technology products, ensuring they meet the needs of teachers and learners. So the Edtech product manager ensures that the needs of the learners are met. Now, who do we see as the Edtech product manager? When you come to a physical school setting, which that's what we're going to be looking at as case study, you have either the school manager or the school administrator or the principal, depending on what your school refer them to. Now, the school manager or the school principal tend to define the vision and mission of the school, develop strategy to get students, develop strategy to publicize the school, develop strategy to enhance learners and teachers, and also teachers. Okay, so now this is the job of the school administrator. Now when you come to Edtech, the product manager oversees the entire product, just like the school principal or the school manager oversees the affair of the school, from learning to delivery to staff welfare and everything. Now, what do we refer to as product? The digital product. We have an app. For example, you have your Facebook, you have your WhatsApp. These are basically general software. Now, when you look at the Google Classroom is an example of an Edtech product, and the Edtech product manager tend to find out if Google Classroom is satisfying the customers, the users. Okay, now if it's not meeting the needs, the product manager tend to find out, carry out different forms of research to ensure that the client's needs are met. And when it is not met, when it's not bringing in customers and it's not also meeting the needs of the users, they review this product. Okay, so this is what the Edtech product manager does. The Edtech product manager is more like the overall boss of the product, which means that person is skilled at delivering that role. Okay, so what are the responsibilities of Edtech product manager? Edtech product manager define product roadmap and features aligned with educational needs. So just like your physical school, the school manager or school principal could say, we need to introduce a particular activity because I think that it's going to be beneficial to the school, and this has to be after he or she has carried out a survey, okay, to meet in order for this product to scale through. So an Edtech product manager introduces feature. For example, we need a board in our classroom, online classroom. What kind of board? An interactive board. Okay, there's a board already. Okay, we need a space where our learners can interact with videos virtually. Okay, these are ideas of and suggestions of the product manager. So before this is introduced, before this feature is introduced, or any feature is introduced in an app, the product manager must have seen to it that it is important for both the users and for the business. Okay, like every business, there should be collaboration. So the Edtech product manager collaborates with developers, those software developers who will bring to life what the feature the product manager has in mind. The designer, the one who is going to design the site, what the whole site will look like, where each feature will be found. Okay, if the feature requires an audio or a mic, where should we place this audio? Where should we place the board? Where should we place the chalk? Where should we place the writing material? Okay, so he or she must collaborate with other people involved, and including other educators, especially if it's an online school and requires the presence of other coaches. The Edtech product manager is also going to conduct user research with teachers and students. So if the product requires that of the presence of teachers and the presence of students, the Edtech product manager is meant to carry out a user research. Okay, so there are certain applications where you sign up as teachers, and there are columns or feature where student sign up is needed. The Edtech product manager is also going to prioritize product updates based on feedback and analytics. So when the product manager looks at the product and how the users are interacting with it, he or she will determine if it's going to be removed, if it's going to be adjusted based on complaint. So if there are too many sign in, sign up and sign in, and the users are uncomfortable with it, and probably they do not like it, the product manager conducts a research to know if that is the problem, and if it's the problem, the product manager either looks at it and reduce the sign up, or find alternative way to ease users frustration or pain point. The Edtech product manager is also going to ensure compliance with education standard and accessibility. So if you're working on an education product as a product manager, you should ensure that you comply with the education standard in learning, standard in teaching practice. So the fact that you're putting up an app does not mean that you develop a product for 2 years to 5 years and the feature looks like that of, or the characters which we see look like that of teenagers. Okay, so there must be compliance with the education standard. So this is why it's important that teachers scale up in order to take up this role and lead innovations like this. If we need product managers who will follow standard, then we need teachers who understand classroom issues and educational issues or educational problems and can relate with this, and can also put out something that that complies with both teaching and learning ethics. Number 2, Edtech writer or content creator. The Edtech writer develops educational content, guides, articles, and resources to support learners, educators, and Edtech companies. There are authors of blog posts, articles, academic writers with education background. Now, what they do specifically is to write how to guide that supports learning. For example, how to help 2 years to write, how to develop pencil grip for 5 years, how to help learners from grade 4 to understand English comprehension, and a whole lot of them. How to, and other contents that are beneficial to the edtech space or to education space. So having a background in teaching and learning practices avails you the opportunity to write these articles or blog posts from the place of experience. Now, it's not the same with one who goes to the internet and gets these articles and simply paraphrase them and put it out there. But if you as a teacher write these articles, it's going to come from a place of experience, because you're citing case studies and you're citing real life scenarios, and you're also putting out best practices based on experience. So when this experience is put into writing, it tends to support learners, it tends to support organizations who are building solutions to solve these problems. So if you know how to help learners understand comprehension and it's down on article, in article format, in writing format, organizations tend to grab this and they bring it to life as a solution other people would want. In that way, you are creating solution, you're solving a problem for others in the education space. So what are the responsibilities of edtech writers or content creators? They create curriculum aligned lesson plan and resources. Okay, so they do that. They create curriculum aligned lesson plans and resources, especially for organizations. So organizations that that helps learners at different age level, or whether as younger learners or as adult learners, tend to look out for them, and they help them simplify curriculum. Writing resources needed for edtech space, these edtech writers can do that. They also write blog posts, articles and white papers on education trends. Okay, so edtech writers look out for education trends and make others understand what it's about. Also, they develop user guides and product tutorial. So after a product is developed, after an educational product or an edtech product has come to life, these edtech writers tend to write step-by-step guide on how users can make use of this app, and also document these processes for either the future developers or the future designers or subsequent product owners or product managers. So they also translate complex concept into simple, engaging language. So instead of all the education jargon that people who are not in the education space tend not to understand, these edtech writers tend to simplify these terms so that one who is not in the education space will understand what is being said. Since the edtech writer also plays the role of the content creator, he or she can also support marketing with educational storytelling. Now, if the marketing manager or the marketing personnel is not education inclined, the edtech writer can tell story such that it captivates the user. Now, I understand what the pain point in education is. Maybe I am selling a product that will aid learners to be able to read properly. Now, because I have a background in the classroom or teaching experience, I can bring to life a scenario whereby a learner is struggling with learning, but one who is not in the education field or have no experience of what it means to teach a child or a learner struggling with reading means. So he or she may not be able to relate this to the users, and thereby missing out on people who will bring in the money or who would sign up on the platform. Okay, so the edtech writer or content creator tend to write engaging storytelling that can be used for marketing. The edtech community manager number 3, he or she builds and manages online or offline communities of educators, students, or parents around an edtech product or initiative. Now, there are times when you see people in a WhatsApp group, they are either engaging in learning practice, getting learning support, asking questions that pertains to a product. Okay, how can I sign up on this app? How can I use this app? When is the next lesson? And someone is replying all this. And this person is the edtech community manager. Now, are all these community managers educationists, or do they have a teaching background? No. And this is where you as an educator or a teacher comes in. If you come in as a community manager for an edtech brand, you can relate with these learners. So you are more like a learning support. You're more like the minder in the classroom who tends to ask, support the learners when the teacher is out doing something. You're like the customer success representative whom the learners or whom the customers would always reach out to. You are like the academic support. Okay, so this is actually a role a teacher can also take up in the edtech space. And interestingly, because we have lots of edtech brand coming up, these brands need community managers. No matter how big or small Edtech brand they need they need that role of the Edtech community manager. This manager interfaces with the parents, the students, the teacher, the educator, if the brand is training educators. Okay, so these brands can, like at Teach Right Academy, we have the community managers, the one who liars or the one who interfaces with teachers in the community. Okay, so when there are events, the community manager tends to reach out, grant support, sign up support, okay, answer questions, frequently asked questions. So the community manager is actually a go-to person in the edtech space. Now, other brands actually have community managers, but the edtech space need more community managers, and this is where we are asking teachers to expand and evolve into this role. So what are the responsibilities of edtech community manager? He or she build and manage online educator community. So whether educator community, parents community for learners, the edtech community manager builds and manages it. He or she also moderates forums, group, and social platforms. Okay, so the edtech product manager manages this group and moderates it because the learners or the people or the trainees tend to interface with them. Edtech community manager organize webinars and virtual events for teachers. So if you are a community manager for edtech and you're managing a community for teachers, you're expected to also conduct webinars, okay, using any virtual tool. Because every business needs feedback, the edtech community manager collects and share user feedback with product team. So the product manager cannot go to the community to interface with either the educators in the community or the parents in the community. So it is a duty of the community manager who interfaces with these people to collect feedback, whether positive or negative. Both feedbacks are very important to the product team. Like we said previously, that the product manager uses this feedback to review what the product is all about, either to remove a feature or to add a feature in order to improve on what the users need. The edtech community manager foster engagement through discussions and challenges. So you can create a poll, a survey, find out what's going on in the community, and try to engage with members of the community. It's actually not nice that people are in the community and there is no means to interact with them. They can't ask questions, they can't do anything in the community. So engagement in the community is very important for community growth. When the members of the community are engaged, the community will grow and the products will sell or scale. Number 4, edtech marketer. Edtech marketer promotes edtech products and services through digital campaigns, partnerships, and storytelling targeted at schools and educators. Now, the the edtech space wants to sell their product like any other business will do. And because they need people to sell their products for them, what are these products? They are educational softwares, they are educational apps. They all need to be sold, right? And they come up with different strategies, partnership. Now these people who come up with these are the edtech marketers. Okay, so sometimes they put out promo links, promo codes. These are strategies to get people to sign up. So as a teacher, you can leverage your skill because you know the problem in the classroom. Through storytelling, you can actually take up this role. For example, you understand the problem in the classroom. Learners struggle with answering word problems in mathematics, right? And this company decided to create a solution that would help learners to understand word problems involving mathematics with ease. Okay, so in your campaign is your ads, your adverts, your advertisement. Okay, you can tell stories on how a particular learner had issues with solving mathematics word problem and how this app has improved this learner's difficulties. Okay, you can relate with learners pain point. In fact, when you mention certain things as a teacher, these learners can relate with it, or these customers can relate with these problems. And anyone who can relate with a problem, like you said something that went down, like you drove it home, okay, they will buy this product. So this is why we encourage teachers, educators to get involved with edtech marketing, because they understand the teaching and learning problems in the classroom. So what are the responsibilities of edtech marketers? One, they develop campaigns targeted to teachers and schools. So the education space is actually very broad. You have the teachers, you have the parents, you have the school. So different products for different users. There are products that are targeted for just teachers. They are just teachers, but just like Teachers Academy is a digital product, an edtech product for teachers. Okay, there are school management products that school management need either for grading or for assessment. There are also products that parents can buy, maybe products that helps learners read, products that help learners, their children solve mathematics. So these ones are actually go-to for parents. Number two, they create marketing content either through mail, social posts, and videos, because they can relate with pain points. They also conduct market research on trends in digital learning. So because they know that this is what is a particular part is obtainable, so they conduct market research to know what people are looking for. That way they can suggest to other product owners or product marketers or product managers to either tweak their product or come up with something that people, parents, school owners, or teachers can buy. So because they can sell to schools and parents and teachers, so they tend to manage partnership with schools and with districts. They track campaign performance and optimize strategies. So they can run ads either on Google, on Facebook, on Meta, wherever, in order to increase sales. And they track this to ensure that their ads is doing and performing well. Number five, we have the curriculum designer for digital learning. Designs digital curricula and instructional resources aligned with learning standards and effective pedagogy. Okay, so it's important that teachers can take up this role as curriculum designers, because they are already used to planning lessons and looking out for step-by-step guide on how to deliver effective lessons in the classroom. So if they since they are capable of doing that, they can actually create resources, digital resources for learners in the digital space. So they can create worksheets, they can create simple lessons, make it very interactive, leveraging digital tools. So what are the responsibilities of the curriculum designer? He or she creates standard aligned digital curriculum. So your digital curriculum must align. It must align with education standard. He or she must be able to integrate technology into instructional design. So whatever it is you have done in your manual lesson notes, it's important you know how to translate it in the digital space. So you can use technology tools to recreate your handwritten lessons. You can also work with subject experts to ensure accuracy. So if you can create these lessons and you aren't sure, you can actually reach out to other experts. For example, you have a background in mathematics and you do not have knowledge of chemistry, but you know how to create resources very well. So you can reach out to an SME, which is a subject matter expert, to work with you and create these resources. The curriculum designer also design assessment and adaptive learning pathways. So he or she can design assessment and adaptive learning pathways. Just like you can design learning resources, assessment is also needed. He or she also ensures content is inclusive and accessible. Just like you have differentiation in the classroom, in the physical classroom, it's important that when creating resources, digital resources, you're meant to consider different people, those with special needs. Understand that everybody may not be able to access your lessons in certain ways. So it's important that you consider those who would love the offline learning and who would love virtual learning. The instructional designer for Edtech creates digital learning materials, courses, and training programs using instructional design models and tools. Now, the difference between a curriculum designer and an instructional designer is the complexity of their tools. Okay, why the curriculum designer can leverage simple digital tools, the instructional designers tend to make use of complex tools following certain laid down models and principles. Okay, so this is why the teacher who is already in the classroom can leverage on those career paths because there is an existing experience. The instructional designer consider all the steps every teacher will take in planning the lessons. The only difference is that the instructional designer tend to uh tend to have different terms or terminologies for different practices. So the instructional designers develop e-learning courses and teacher training modules. The instructional designer also apply learning science and pedagogy to design. The instructional designer use authoring tools such as Articulate, Captivate, Canva, and all that. So the instructional designers make use of complex tools in designing learning. The instructional designers test usability and improve course flow. So the instructional designer is more like the architect and developer of an entire lesson. So it's important that teachers on their end tend to learn these, gain experience on these career paths in order to function well. Like I said previously, that every step and skill that pertains to the classroom space can be transferred to the digital space. What differentiates it is the digital skill that the instructional designer or the curriculum designer has acquired. Number 7, we have the learning experience designer. The learning experience designer focuses on designing meaningful and engaging learning experiences that combine pedagogy, technology, and user-centered design. Now, a learning experience designer understands teaching practices, teaching methods, also knows how to make use of the technology, integrating technology in this teaching practice, and also creates an wholesome technology or digital experience. Now, the learning experience designer understands the ensures that the interface where the learners need to engage with learning using technology is smooth and seamless. So the learner should not be frustrated engaging in any digital application or software. So this is what the learning designer ensures. The learning designer ensures that learners who are leveraging technology get the best of learning experience. So what are their responsibilities? Focus on user-centered design in education platform. So he or she understands where a user or a student or a learner needs to sign up, and understands when too much of sign up can get the learner frustrated. He or she also map students and teacher learning journeys. Okay, so when the learner stop learning and when the teacher maybe stops signing up or stops teaching, the learning experience designer tends to map this and find out why it's happening. So the learning experience designer follows the learners and the teacher from the sign up till the end of the learning, okay, or the end of teaching as it pertains to the teacher. So the learning experience designer also integrates gamification and interactivity. So the learning experience designer wants the learners and the teachers to enjoy learning and teaching. So he or she puts in different tools and activities for smooth and seamless learning. The learning designer, experience designer also gather learner analytics to refine design. So he or she looks at the back end of the digital product or the Edtech product to find out what the user is not doing or the user is not using, and why this user is not using a particular feature or tool. For example, you have is a school management software where you have the classroom, you have the chat box, you have the grading, you have the assessment, and just somehow the teacher is only making use of the assessment. So you need to find out why is the teacher not using the classroom to put out materials for the learners. So these are actually things that the learning designers can do. And because you're already in the classroom, because you already interact with learners and teachers, you can fit in into this role. The learning experience designer work with the UX team to optimize engagement. The UX team is the user experience designer, the architect who designs the entire web page, the entire app, the entire website before the developer develops it. Okay, so this learning experience designer works with the UX team to ensure smooth delivery. So, for instance, the UX team decides that a particular button has to be or icon has to be in a particular place, and the learning experience designer says, I think my learners might struggle with this, maybe because we already have a previous maybe sign up at the initial step. We do not need another sign up again, we do not need another login again. Okay, so the learning experience designer tend to collaborate with the UX team for smooth delivery of a digital product. Number 8, we have the education data analyst. The education data analyst uses educational data to evaluate student outcomes, improve learning strategies, and guide institutional decision. So, if you're looking at a tool such as your Google Classroom, for instance, there are sections or there are features that allows you to check students uh who have not had their assessment. There are also other course builders that have simple learners analytics sections that you use to track learners progress. So if the learner has not had the lessons or the learner did not finish the lesson, the you can track learners' progress from that spot. So the education data analyst actually does the same thing. Okay, he or she analyzes data using student outcome, evaluates the student outcome, improve learning strategy. So from student outcome, you can make adjustments, you can proffer solutions, you can make your suggestions on how to improve learning through data you have gathered. Okay, so over time we might say learners struggle with answering complex or lengthy questions. Okay, now if learners are struggling with answering questions that has lengthy answers, this goes to say that you need to look into this the questions over time, maybe over the years. This same question has not been answered. Why? It requires very lengthy answers, and our learners don't want to go through that pain. So what are we going to do? So you're going to draw decisions based on the student's outcome. So what are the responsibilities of education analysts? They collect and analyze student performance data. They also identify learning threats and challenges. Just like we mentioned, any challenge they identify and look out for ways to solve those challenges. They also support schools with data-driven decision making. They help build dashboards and reports for stakeholders. The education analysts recommend intervention for student success. So based on the data they have collected, they will suggest intervention or recommend interventions for students success so that they can improve learning performance. Number 9, learning technologies. The learning technologies support schools and institutions in implementing, troubleshooting, and optimizing education technologies. Now, because this is the era of digital technologies, there are people who specifically implement or optimize education technologies for schools, for learning institutes. Okay, so this is what the learning technologists do. They do this for schools and institutions. So if as a teacher you are digitally skilled and schools want to integrate an app, install a school management software, whatever it is they want to do in order to introduce technology in their institutions. With digital skill, you can take up the role as a learning technologist. So, what are the responsibilities of learning technologies? They support schools in adopting Edtech tools. They also train teachers on platform usage, just like what Teacher Academy is doing. Okay, they troubleshoot classroom technology issues. So, if a classroom is technologically fixed, and they have issues, the learning technologies take care of that. They also test and pilot new digital tools. So upon any tools or softwares that pertains to education, they test it and they train others on their usage. They ensure data privacy and security compliance. So learning technologists also ensure digital security all around. Number 10, we have Edtech trainer or professional development specialist. Most teachers are actually familiar with this role. They provide training and workshop to teachers and schools on integrating educational technologies effectively. So this is actually what the coaches at Teach Right Academy is doing. So they provide trainings and workshop, virtual trainings, physical trainings for schools and for teachers on integrating educational technologies effectively. Now, you cannot do this if you are not digitally skilled, if you do not know how to make use of these tools. So, you know when to make use of each of them and how to teach others to make use of these tools. So what are the responsibility of the Edtech trainer? The Edtech trainer deliver workshop on using Edtech effectively. The Edtech trainer designs training materials for teachers. So the Edtech trainer simplifies these learning materials. The Edtech trainer provides one-on-one coaching and tech support. So at Teach Right Academy, we also provide one-on-one coaching and tech support for teachers in the academy. The Edtech trainer evaluates the impact of training programs. So if the training is working, if it's yielding, they consider both the negative and positive feedback. The Edtech trainer also stay up to date on latest Edtech practices. Now, you cannot be teaching practices that are only obtainable 10 years ago, whereas things have evolved. Okay, this is the era of AI. Okay, so it's important that Edtech trainers follow the trend and find a way to integrate new technology in their training practices. Number 11, user experience researcher in Edtech. Now, when we talked about the learning experience designer, we mentioned the learning experience designer work with the UX team. Now, the UX researcher in Edtech researches on best feature that suits the Edtech space, best feature that suits teachers, best feature for parents, best feature for students, young learners and older learners. So the researcher studies how students and teachers interact with Edtech products to improve usability and learning outcome. Now, when you sign up on an app and at some point you tell yourself that you don't want to go ahead, it means that your user experience is not seamless. So the user experience designer who came up with that product, if we have a lot of people like you on that seat, then there is a problem. That means the UX researcher has to go back and look at why this is happening. Okay, so the UX researcher tends to carry out researches for to enable learners, teachers, make use of their platform with ease. So what are the responsibilities of the UX researcher in Edtech? Conduct usability tests with students, analyze feedback to improve product design, map pain points in digital learning experience, find out why the teacher or the learner needs the product. Collaborate with product team for iterative design. So if for any reason the design has to be changed, the user experience researcher would collaborate with the product team. Also advocate for accessibility and inclusion. Ensure that all kinds of users can access it, all kinds of learners can find it useful. Consider the special needs, consider the physically challenged. So these are things that the researcher puts into consideration. Number 12, Edtech Customer Success Manager. Now, you know this kind of people when you do not understand a product, or maybe you encountered a problem while you were signing up, or when you bought a product, or you have issues with your bank and you send them a mail, you put a call through across to them. The person who gives feedback, who helps you navigate your way through and come out of this challenge, is actually a customer success representative. Now, in the Edtech space, we have an Edtech customer success manager. The Edtech customer success manager ensures that schools, teachers, and districts effectively adopt and benefit from Edtech products. So they look out for their users, they take care of them, they ensure that they are fine, they ensure that they are not struggling with uh accessing their product. So they reach out to them, they help them out just like your bank will do, just as other products you make use of, their company would also do for you. So what are the responsibilities of Edtech Customer Success Manager? One, they onboard schools and districts to products. So if a school wants to access a school management software, the Edtech customer representative or customer success manager would onboard this school or district. You also provide ongoing support and relationship management. So you just like you have your accounts manager, someone that reaches out to you when, or you can reach out to when you encounter difficulties in using a product. They also monitor product adoption and usage. So when you have started using it, and while you make the period at which you're making use of this product, the customer success manager looks into it. This person also hosts webinars and training for new features. So when the company is introducing a feature in the product, the Edtech customer success manager onboards people, individuals who would be needing this product, train them on it, and get their feedback on how to improve on the new feature before it is launched. They also collect feedback to guide product improvement. So if the product is, you're not sure if it's having problem, or if it's solving the problem it's set out to solve, the Edtech customer success manager gathers feedback for the product team. Number 13, we have the game-based learning designer. The game-based learning designer creates educational games and simulations that teach curriculum concepts in interactive, playful ways. Okay, so over time, we have realized that Edtech product has evolved, and because they have evolved, product owners, product teams, learning development designers tend to improve on the feature to enhance learning. So many times you find apps that young learners can interact on. They can either trace their numbers, they can play games online. Now, these are actually interactive features which has been introduced to learning in order to make learning fun and engaging. Now, the role of the individual who integrates these concepts in teaching and learning is the game-based learning designer. Sometimes the game-based learning designer and the learning experience designer tend to switch roles, okay, or tend to interchange roles. But then the main aim is to create both engaging and interactive learning. So what are the responsibilities of game-based learning designers? They design educational games that align with curriculum. So you're not going to solve maths and design game for targeted at spelling or literacy. They also collaborate with developers to gamify concept. They also integrate assessment into game mechanics. So because they want the learners to also learn while they play the games, there are lots of games, that online games, that tend to they expect learners to solve maybe arithmetic questions or answer certain questions and win points for it, or get a shopping voucher for it, and maybe also acquire coins for it. Okay, so these are actually strategies that the game-based learning designers come up with to enhance learning. They also test games with student users. So after they have developed this game, they put it out for students to test and see if they enjoy the feature. They also ensure games are inclusive and fun. It's important that, because differentiation takes place in the physical classroom, it's important they also consider inclusion and accessibility for diverse kinds of learners, including the physically challenged learners. There are tools that you infuse into your product to enhance wholesome learning. Okay, the 14th career path we're going to consider is the Edtech assessment designer. This individual develops digital assessments that measure learning outcome and provide actionable insights. Now, just like you do in your classroom, where you have your learners uh, write exams, take tests, and after that, from their grades, you can tell if there should be a makeup lessons, or if what you have taught the learners understood them properly, right? So that's actually what the EdTech assessment designer does for online learners or during online learning classes. So this is actually a role that teachers can take up. Now, for you to be able to take up this role, you should also understand how assessment is done in the digital space. So, what are the responsibilities of the EdTech assessment designer? The EdTech assessment designer develop digital formative and summative assessment. So for the formative assessment, this happens during learning, in between learning, just like you have your simple evaluation, your classwork, your homework. That's where you have your formative assessment. Then for the summative assessment, this takes place at the end of a module, at the end of an entire lesson. Okay, so that's the difference. So this assessment designer develops this. So he or she takes maybe in a module, probably you have like 10 lessons. So after two mini lessons, you have a a formative assessment. After another two, like that, then till the end, then there is a you have a summative assessment, which comprises of all that has been learnt in that module. So that is what the assessment designer does in the edtech space. The assessment designer also aligns assessment with standards and learning outcomes. So what this assessment designer does is, this is what is expected of learners, and this is what we found out in learners. So he or she looks at the standard and the outcome of the learners, and to know if it aligns. Does the learner really understand? Is the learner meeting up to what is expected? And thirdly, uses adaptive testing strategy. So the assessment designer take up looks out for different strategies to test learners and design assessment such that it fits the learning styles and abilities of the learners. And number four, ensures validity and reliability of tests. So whichever system or pattern or assessment method the designer decides to adopt, it's important that the designer checks the validity and reliability of the tests. You would also agree that there are actually tests or assessment method that may not be reliable. Maybe the question methods used was too high for the learners, and they tend not to understand the maybe terms or terminology or concepts used in the assessment method. So it's important that the test is reliable and valid. Also analyzes assessment data for report. So the assessment designer goes through the assessment and reports, give feedback to the management team, the tutors. At that point, they tend to make reference to it, draw their feedback, get their feedback from the assessment. We have the AI in education specialist. Now, this is the era of AI, and it's important that teachers know how to integrate AI tools in teaching and learning practices. So, the AI in education specialist applies artificial intelligence tools and systems to improve teaching, learning, and personalized education. So sometimes you find in an online learning space, you find AI tool used as agent for uh, customer or learners feedback. So learners could ask the I do not understand this, expatiate on this water topic, water cycle, which has been taught. So some online learning systems or online learning platforms integrate AI agents in their learning space. So as an AI in education specialist, you are meant to suggest tools and systems that will work in order to improve teaching and learning uh, activities, as well as create personalized education, because you need the learning space to be accessible by everyone who is learning on that platform. So that is actually one of the rules of the AI in education specialist. So looking at the responsibilities of AI in education specialists, they train teachers in AI powered learning tools. Okay, tools that are used in an online learning space. Teachers get trained by these education specialists. The education specialist in AI also explore adaptive learning system and chatbots. So like I said previously, integrating AI agents as chatbots to enhance learning. So we do not have teachers all the time to answer questions. Okay, so teachers who have learned to enhance learning using AI as an education specialist can help create an adaptive learning system for edtech companies. Also, they help to analyze AI-driven learning analytics. The AI specialists go through the learning analytics using AI to find out how far the learners have gone, if they are comprehending well, go through the lessons, if the learning process is seamless for the learners. They also ensure ethical use of AI in the classroom. So they ensure that nobody is biased. They ensure that the AI system isn't giving out information that would not be suitable for these learners at different age range. They also collaborate on AI product development. So they can also initiate the development of an AI tool that would help enhance the learning system. So how can you do that? Firstly, learn how to use digital tools, learn how AI works, learn the tools that are available to for AI, integration of AI the in the online learning space. So this is actually one interesting role for teachers in the edutech sector, especially in this time and age of AI. So the 16th edutech career you can take up is the edutech researcher. The edutech researcher, like other researchers, conduct academic and applied research on the impact and effectiveness of educational technology. Now, over time, before a system or a method is being implemented, there are set of persons who go out to research on the impact of introducing a teaching method or deploying any digital method. Okay, so in the edtech space, the edtech researcher combines both academic and educational technology in a research process to find out if this teaching method or learning style can be implemented in the digital space, or its impact on learners when it's when it's deployed in a digital space. So you can take up this career paths, work with edtech organizations, work with edtech consulting firms, work with e-learning platforms to incorporate teaching and learning in the technology space. So what are the responsibilities of edtech researcher? Firstly, conduct studies on edtech effectiveness. So how effective is the edtech method or edtech platform on learning and teaching. They also publish reports and case study. So during the course of research, they find out, take up case studies, refer to different areas they have conducted research, and see how fruitful it was, or see how best they can either iterate on what has been done, or take up the whole process entirely. They also work with universities and schools on pilot. Pilot is more like the initial program tests that edtech companies or tech organizations put out to see if the program is going to be a success. So if you want to roll out a feature or any program at all, you are meant to test. Pilot is actually the first stage of a program. Also, they collect qualitative and quantitative data. So both qualitative and quantitative data, how many persons are able to answer a survey, what they also want. So that is the qualitative, what they want, they can afford. They also present findings at conferences and workshops. But in the edtech space, the workshops and conferences are usually held maybe in pitch formats, where you display what your platform looks like, how learners or teachers can navigate the platform, and how it can enhance learning. So these are actually the responsibilities of the edtech researcher. So you can apply as an edtech researcher. You do not need complex tools. Knowing how to document using your Google Docs is a go-to. So it's you can transfer your existing teaching skills to the edtech research role. The virtual reality or augmented reality learning designer designs immersive VR or AR based learning experiences for classrooms and self studies. Now, with VR and AR, learning is fun, learning is interactive, and learning is engaging. Okay, now we also understand that learning come to real life using VR and AR. So there is more like an overlay and combination of the virtual environment with the real world. Learners who want to perform practicals on maybe different systems in the body or organs in the body with AR and VR, these parts come to reality. Okay, so that's what the VR and AR designers do for learning. So you can bring learning to real life. Learners gain first-hand experience of what things that appears to be abstract would be. So you bring these things to real life. Imagine learners having to gain access to what the heart looks like just because immersive learning has taken place. So the responsibilities of the VR or AR learning designer: develops immersive educational simulation, collaborates with developers to create 3D content. So you can do a sketch, an architect, a rough sketch or a design of what to expect or what the developers would develop, design it and send it to, so you're more like the architect of the learner's learning experience or the development process. So we also have, they also test the VR and AR experience with teachers and learners to ensure that what has been put out is what the learners are meant to consume. They also learn to align immersive content with curriculum. So if you're coming up with learning designs that has to be for biology or for chemistry or for the elementary sciences, then it should align with the curriculum, and you have to work with subject matter experts, that's the teachers, to come up with this. They also train educators to use VR and AR. Okay, so even as a learning designer for AR and VR, it's also important to know how to explain or train other teachers who will be consumers of these resources. While you may not be able to design educational content or VR or AR, you can actually learn how to make you utilize this product and train other teachers or employees within the Edtech organization. So here we have the corporate learning specialist designs and delivers internal training programs for employees within Edtech organizations. Now there are organizations that may not be able to afford certain softwares, certain plugins, and they may want to outsource a part of their development to other organizations. Okay, now you as the corporate learning specialist of the said organizations can train the organization that need your product attached to theirs on how it can be used. Okay, so that is actually what the corporate learning specialist does. Now you are not training people outside, but you're training people or employees within an organization on how to use your company's software or your company product. Okay, so it can also be that your company owns a software management software that would be utilized by schools. Okay, now you are to train teachers in the school on how this software management software can be used, how they can grade with it, how they can send newsletters with it. Okay, so these are actually the early expectations of corporate learning specialists. So responsibilities of corporate learning specialists. They design training for company employees, just like we said previously, that this role expects that you design training and train employees of other organizations. They also support sales team with product knowledge. So at a point when the sales teams are unable to break down the real use of the product or resources, the corporate learning specialists tend to do the onboarding process and explain how this product, how this detailed products can be used in different ways. They also create onboarding modules for staff. Onboarding means that they create materials that staff make use of at the time of joining an organization. They also align training with business goals. So even though they are training, they ensure that whatever they say or whatever training they deliver aligns with the goal of the organization, of the business. They also track learning impact in the workplace. So what they have taught, are they being utilized? Learners or are the staff of the organizations, are they adhering to what has been taught? Is there improvement in different areas? Maybe your training is on the idea of the training is to reduce burnout, and your company or the company you are attached with is training this organization to use burnout using a particular software. Now what the training learning specialist is meant to find out if there is an impact on the training that has been previously done. The EdTech policy advisor is another role teachers can take up in the EdTech space. They advise governments, schools, organizations on policies and regulations related to educational technology. So this is one way you can help schools to implement EdTech in school activities in their learning process. They advise them on the kind of edtech product to utilize, or the kind of edtech model to adopt, models that fit into the school activities, models that fit into the kind of learners they have, the categories of learners they have. And also for the government and organizations, certain organizations might need edtech products to suit what they already have on their platform, just to enhance their product. Maybe an online learning platform could need an AI tool to enhance learning support or communication. So the responsibilities of the EdTech policy advisor, they research policies around digital learning. So they look out for the policies around digital learning such that they will be able to suggest accordingly. They also advise government or schools on edtech adoption. This is an era of edtech, digital learning, and it's important that schools, organizations, and the government need to adopt it. They also write reports and recommendations for the company in which they are attached to, and for companies or organizations or institutions that would like to adopt different edtech practices. They ensure compliance with data and accessibility law. So they ensure that they do not go against certain existing laws or standard to meet education, the needs of digital learning or different learning practices. They also engage with stakeholders on policy changes. So they engage with teachers, they engage with school administrators, they engage with parents before certain policies implemented. A learning app reviewer or analyst evaluates educational apps for quality, effectiveness, and usability, often publishing reviews or reports. So there are times when educators or teachers can review applications, learning softwares, and suggest best practices, suggest content that should be in need, and suggest content that can be learning content that could be reviewed or removed. Okay, so that is what you as a teacher can take up. Okay, now you understand classroom practices, you know what is obtainable, you know the age of these learners according to their grade levels. Now, some of these software developers or software developing companies, learning development companies are not aware of these practices. So you can bring this idea to them and tell them, okay, this mascot you have put here is would be better for teenagers, but then it has been placed for young learners and it should not be so. So these are actually things that you can do as an EdTech learning app reviewer. So what are the responsibilities of learning app reviewer or analyst? They test and review educational apps. So they look at it, they test it, they review, they suggest things that should continue, contents that should go off or come in. They also write reports or blogs on app effectiveness. So they can pick an app and write down all that the app is capable of doing, or contents that are available on the app. So writing is a skill that should be adopted. We also have the assess usability, accessibility, and pedagogy. Okay, so they ensure best practices in teaching. They ensure that this app can be accessed and also utilized. Okay, it's one thing to develop or design an application software for learners. It's another thing to enable its usability. Now, sometimes it's functioning, but now a lot of time these apps can be functional. It can be functioning, but then there could be too many sign up or too many struggles for accessibility. Learners could be struggling to get into the real content of what is available. So that is actually one of the things one of the roles of the learning app reviewer. They also provide recommendation to teachers and schools, so they can recommend applications, they can also recommend best practices, they can recommend apps that can be used. They also track market trends in edtech apps. So they look out for the market trends, what teachers, what schools, what parents of learners are looking out for in the edtech space for their young learners or for their children. MOOC course designers, they create large scale online courses for Coursera, for Allison, for Udemy, for edX. For these are available for learners worldwide. Okay, so you can go on this platform and have access to courses. So there are course designers that put up courses there. Now, what do you mean by MOOC? A massive open online course. So where you have access to bulk of course resources. So you can also be a course designer, which means you can create your own courses and upload on Udemy. You can create courses, upload on Coursera. So there are lots of platforms that allows course designers to create their courses and upload on their various platform. This platform helps you to reach audience or learners who would obtain your course, pay for it, and you get your money back. Okay, so because this is also an edtech role, the responsibilities of this MOOC course designer is that they create online courses for global learners. So you are not creating course for just a category of learners, maybe within an organization. You create courses for global learners, so you're meant to consider a whole lot of things. Some of these platforms have criterias, they have standard, they record and script engaging video lessons. They also design interactive activities and quiz. So after your course development, you're meant to create activities or quiz for your learners. They manage online platforms. Okay, they manage online platforms. You may have access to reply your learners or grant certain learning support. They also monitor learner engagement and completion rate. So you have a platform special created for you to monitor your learners engagement, give feedback, grant support, and also check out completion rates. This will enable you to look into subsequent course designs and development. Online learning facilitator guides, supports, and motivates students in an online learning environment. So there are individuals who help learners during an online learning period to navigate the online learning space or online teaching space. Now, sometimes they are online learning support or academic support, and sometimes they are also the facilitator. So when learners sometimes experience certain challenges in an online learning space, either they need support with extra learning materials or makeup, or they need some level of motivation. Okay, so these individuals reach out to these learners either individually or in a communication space where all the online learners are, to help these learners navigate the online learning space effectively. So maybe they are confused about what to click or what not to click, or how to go about a particular material. So the online learning facilitator supports the learners. So the key responsibilities of the online learning facilitator: firstly, they moderate online learning community. So in an online learning space, there is usually a community where all the learners, online learners on that platform stay together in for easy communication. Okay, so the online learning facilitator supports these learners through the community, moderates the community, and gather feedback. So they also provides guidance and feedback to learners. So if learners are having challenges or need clarification on different materials or learning process, the online learning facilitator does that. The online learning facilitator monitor discussions and encourage participation. So within the community or online learning network, the online learning facilitator helps the learners. Sometimes this online learning facilitator could also be an Edtech community manager. So looking at some of these rules, some of them are actually interwoven. So it's important that while you apply for these rules, look out for these responsibilities. The responsibilities, their duties are primarily in application. So when you want to take up any of the roles in the edtech space, be sure to look out for their responsibilities, because looking at the name alone could be discouraging sometimes. But when you look at the responsibility, that tells you if you can do it. Look at also the tools that are needed by those who will be taking up the roles. The online learning facilitator also supports students in self-paced learning. So students who are learning in a learning section that is not cohort based, which means these learners are learning on their own. So they are usually put in a community where they can be assisted in different ways. So the online learning facilitator also facilitates self-paced learning process, and it doesn't have to be a cohort based. Then the online learning facilitator also troubleshoot learning platform challenges. So when learners are faced with challenges, maybe that is as a result of the platform, the system, probably they are not able to sign up, probably they cannot view a material, the online learning facilitator supports these learners. We have the Edtech sales consultant. The Edtech sales consultant sells Edtech product to schools and districts by demonstrating value and building trust with educators. Now, those products are actually digital products, and because they are digital products, people have to use them. Organizations have to use them. So the Edtech sales consultant, what he or she does is to sell these digital products to those who would be needing them. Now, there are different ways this Edtech consultant sells this product. We have the B2B model or the B2C. Now, the B2B is business to business. So I own an Edtech product, and I'm a business. So when the sales consultant sells to a school, the sales consultant is actually doing what we call the B2B business pattern, or sales B2B, that is business to business. So from a business to another business. So which means that product is a business based product. For example, you have the school management software. It's an Edtech product, but it can only be used by a business, which is a school. Okay, so an individual, a parent cannot buy a school management software, because what will he or she be using it for? Okay, so we also have other Edtech products that can be sold directly to the end users, that's to the consumers, that's the B2C, business to consumers. For example, an Edtech company has K-12 learning resources. Maybe you have grade level 1 to 6 and early years products. Okay, now these products can be sold directly to the parents or directly to students. So that is the B2C. Okay, so these business models are actually demonstrated or are actually implemented by the sales consultant. Now, how do they demonstrate? How do they sell? They sell this product by demonstrating its value. Now, we said at the initial stage that it's easier for educators or teachers to sell edutech products because they understand the problem that this product has set out to solve. So if I have an early years product and I want to sell to parents, An Edtech sales consultant who has a teaching background can sell this product, especially an early years teacher can sell this product with ease because this teacher understands the value of the product. So this teacher, it's easier for this teacher to tell the parent or the consumer, your learner or your child will be able to write sounds, arts, will be able to add numbers, will be able to count numbers and all that. So this Edtech consultant who has a teaching background can profile solution with ease. And if as a buyer, someone is able to tell you, relate a solution to a problem you are experiencing, I believe you will buy it with ease. So this is actually one role that Edtech teachers can take up in the Edtech space. So just like the Edtech marketing, the Edtech consultancy role, the Edtech sales consultancy role is another role teachers can also dive into. And one of the beautiful thing about the Edtech marketing and the Edtech sales role is that teachers can also serve as affiliates to these organizations because they relate directly with the end users, those who would be needing this product, whether the schools or whether the parents. They can affiliate with this company. So you can decide to go into a collaboration with them. I earn 20% for every of the product. Now, if it's something like a school management software that will always be used every term or every session, so you can actually earn from one or two consumers or customers or users in a whole year. Okay, now if you have two schools using a software that you sell and you have over 200 learners and you're going to earn 10% for every student in the school. Now remember, the school is buying the software, but they are going to be paying based on the number of students in school. So if each student would have to pay, if the school will have to pay $2 per student, then you're going to earn 20% for every student. And if you have like 200 students or 500 students in a particular school, multiplied by the number of schools you have. These are actually ways affiliate salespersons or affiliate marketers earn in the Edtech space. So as a teacher, you can actually leverage upon this role. So once a school can trust the product you're delivering, they would always renew their service or their subscription. So responsibilities of the Edtech sales consultant, they demonstrate product to schools and districts. So whatever digital product you're offering, you demonstrate how it's going to be used to schools or school districts. They also train teachers during sales processes. So because teachers, they are going to be training schools, so teachers would have to be trained on the usage of these product. They also build relationship with school leaders. So school administrators, school leaders, school owners, they build relationship with them because they actually need them to buy and keep paying for the product. They negotiate contracts and pricing. So depending on how many learners or how many students each school would be having, they would need to negotiate the contract period and the pricing. They stay up to date on competitors in the Edtech market. So whatever product they are offering, they also need to stay up to date because they need to know what schools will be needing at certain period and what their other competitors are coming up with that could take them out of the market. So these are actually responsibilities of the Edtech sales consultants in an Edtech organization. As an educational podcast creator or YouTube creator, what you do basically is to produce audio or video content to share educational insights, tutorials, or discussions on Edtech and teaching. So as you can actually set up your own podcast as a teacher, as an online teacher, as an Edtech facilitator, create tutorial based on your area of expertise, either you want to review edutech softwares or you want to create certain teachings in different areas. So you can actually do that on your own personally for your own personal brand, or you do that for edutech companies or edutech platforms. So responsibilities of educational podcast creator or YouTube creator, what are those things you do? You script and produce educational audio or video content. So whether the video content is for other organizations or for your personal brand, you have to script and produce these videos, upload them on YouTube, and you earn royalty for doing that. You can also interview experts in edtech. You can also interview experts in edtech and teaching. So using your educational podcast platform, you can interview other experts in edtech space, thereby attracting other edtech platform to advertise on your own platform. You can also edit and publish multimedia content. So you can publish for others, or you can also publish for your personal brand. You can promote episodes through social media. So you can actually put up tutorial or create video sections of series. So today you're talking about the whole of this month, you talk about a particular topic and you split them in series. They tend to be very engaging and interesting. You can also engage with listeners and viewers in your community. Okay, so these are things that you can do and also earn from this role. You can earn personally for your personal brand, and you can also earn from other edutech platform. Like I said, you can use this role or take up this role, earn from there, because you can advertise for other edutech brands. Okay, here we're going to look at the edutech entrepreneur or startup founder. Now, this individual creates and leads a new edutech business, building innovative tools or services for education. So, as an educator or a teacher, you can own an edutech business. You can look out for a problem and solve this problem within the education system, leveraging technology. So whether you are looking out for a solution to solve mathematics problems or literacy problems or science problems or school management problems or school finance problems or learning support problem, whichever area, you can own a startup. You can become that startup founder, one who leverages technology in education field. So that is who you are, or who you can become in the edtech industry. So you're going to be looking at the business part of edtech or the business part of education, leveraging technology as a teacher. So far from owning a physical school, teachers can own edtech businesses, own their own school in the edtech space. So what are the responsibilities of edtech entrepreneur or startup founder? She identifies problem in education and create solution. So you are not just creating solution in a physical space, you are creating solution leveraging technology. It's either you're coming up with a software that others would use, or you avail them opportunity to learn on your own platform, that's your own edutech platform. So you must be solving a problem. Like I said previously, you can solve literacy problem, you can solve teenage problems, character problems, you can solve learning problems, you can solve homework problems, you can solve literacy problems, you can solve science problems, whichever area. You can also build a scalable digital learning product or service. So you can actually start up small minimum viable product MVP and scale over time. Okay, more like you can expand your product. You can also manage funding, marketing, and partnership. So as an entrepreneur, you're supposed to look into funding Edtech companies look out for funding, they get support, partnership. You also market your product to people who would be needing them. Now, because it's Edtech, you understand that schools could be needing your product if yours is meant to service schools. Young learners could need your product, older learners could need your product, parents could need your product. Okay, so you need to get your product across to your audience, and you can only do that through marketing. Test MVPs with teachers and schools. MVP means minimum viable product. So before you scale up your product, your digital product, the least level of the product, the minimum level of your product should be tested either with teachers or school to know if this product will be accepted. So that's what an edutech entrepreneur is expected to do. You can't push out a full-blown product. It's just like you're a caterer, you want to produce maybe probably 1,000 kilogram of maybe chin chin. You're expected to produce maybe 500 gram, get people to test, and you use the recipe for the 500 gram to scale up to the 10,000 kilogram. So that's what is expected of an edtech entrepreneur. Joining online school leadership management program or edutech management program or course, you would get to understand how to run an MVP and how to carry out all the necessary tests for your MVP. And next, lead a team of developers, designers, and educators. So it's important you also know that as an edtech entrepreneur, you have to work with developers, software developers to be precise, UI UX designers, so product designers, and also educators who will be testing the product for use by parents or school management or teachers themselves. And lastly, we have the online tutor. This is very, very common. An online tutor teaches and support learners remotely using digital platforms. So this is actually very common because we already used to the physical tutoring or physical teaching section. So what you do in the digital space or the online space is to leverage a entirely different environment. However, you have more audience in the digital space or the online space. So what are the responsibilities of the online tutor? The online tutor teach lessons online. The online tutor creates digital learning materials such as your worksheets, your learning slides. The online tutor also checks students' progress. So just like you do in the physical learning classroom, you're also meant to check students' progress in the online teaching setting. Then the online tutor adjusts teaching to learners' need. So you should understand the kind of learners you have and adjust your teaching method to suit your learners' need. The online tutor also leverage edtech tools to engage students. So for fun, engaging, and interactive learning, it's also important that online tutors leverage edtech tools. Having learned all these rules, so how do you harness these rules? Firstly, leverage transferable teaching skill. Understand your strength, understand your personality, understand your teaching style. Okay, these are things you put into consideration. If you're a lover of writing and content development, then you can consider edtech writing. Identify your interests and strengths. There are actually educators who do not like the tutoring part, but they can manage edutech products, they can manage their classroom effectively, they can manage classroom resources, so they can actually consider edutech product management. There are also, if you are that kind of tutor who is very, very innovative and you can collaborate and work in a team, you can also consider the edutech entrepreneur or startup founder. Okay, so we also have the next, start small with side projects. So you can start up a mini project which can serve as your MVP. So you can start up a mini project and see how much you can how well you can perform running that mini project. Then you can consider scaling that project. It could be creating simple digital resources and selling it out, and use that to develop your marketing skills and your sales skills. Once you've been able to identify your strengths, your personality, your and you've been able to start up a mini project, you can also upskill with targeted trainings. You can look out for different trainings that are targeted towards this career path. You can actually look out for targeted trainings with Edtech platforms like Teachers Academy, okay, and upskill. Build a personal Edtech portfolio, just like you will have your a personal edutech portfolio explains your skills and gives your employer a first-hand experience of what you can do. Network and collaborate. Leverage LinkedIn, social media to collaborate and network with professionals who are on the same path with yourself. Then choose your pathway and skill. You can take our edited career matcher on our website www.teachwriteacademy.com.ng. Find it and take the test. It's free. Use that to check your personality and find out how it matches any edtech career path. Thank you very much for being part of this course. Bye.